The Wife of Bath's Tale, What Women Most Desire, pages 56 through 60. Then Sir Salvio threw himself at her pigeon-toed feet. Take my horse, take my sword, my armor. Take everything I own in the world, but spare my body. You don't know how I have dreamed of one day tasting love in the arms of a young and lovely wife. The antique bride gave one wild shriek of laughter and linked her arm through his. I am yours to command now, husband, she said. Yours as much as your horse or your sword or the shirt on your back. Then the king joined the hands of the bride and the groom. I give you the white wing of Camelot for your nuptial home. Never was there a wedding celebrated with fewer smiles and less dancing. The groom led his bride directly to the white wing, thinking to hide his shame within its walls. At the foot of the stairs, she tugged on his arm. This is the threshold of our home, she said in a voice that crackled like burning stubble. So lift me in your arms and carry me over the threshold. Sharp with bones and as heavy as brass, she weighed like a ship's anchor in his arms, but he carried her to their bedchamber and laid her on the white bed. I'll sleep in the next room, lady. Nay, for then we would not be married. Man and wife should sleep in the same bed. Sir Salvio lay down beside her in his clothes, staring at the ceiling, and tears ran down into his ears. Beside him she smiled a toothless and frothy smile. Is this any way to behave on your wedding night? She said. What have I done? Tell me, sweetheart. Nothing but save your life by answering the queen's riddle. What's the matter with me, love? What's the matter with you? He gave a great groan. Nothing you could alter, lady. You're an ugly old washerwoman, that's all. She gave another of those cacophonous laughs. Oh, is it my ugliness, then? Why, I thought you'd be glad. He lifted himself on one elbow and stared at her, his eyes blinded with tears. Glad? Yes, glad. A pretty wife is often a worry to a man. All the time he's away fighting or questing or taking his horse to the blacksmith, he has it in mind to wonder, what is she doing now? Which of my friends is flirting with her? Has she run off yet with my squire or my serving man? He nodded his head and smiled forlornly. In all my travels during this last year, I have not met one pretty woman I would trust. And he closed his eyes in despair. But when he opened them again, there on the bed beside him, in a gown of green velvet that put him in mind of cedar trees, lay the lady of his dreams. Her hair was the color of powdered honeysuckle, and she smelt of sage. Only in the days of glory, when fairies were as many as the motes of dust floating in a sunbeam, could a man have found himself married to a fairy. Yes, it is still I, the washerwoman from the forest, said the fairy bride. And now the choice is yours. Will you have me like this, or in my other form? Shall I be ugly, but love you truly all the days of my life? Or shall I be beautiful, and a worry to you each night of your life? Shall I be waiting here for you every evening, bent and crooked, but loving and loyal? Or shall I be beautiful when I hang on your arm in the gardens and in the great moot hall, when there are other eyes to wink at me? Come on, decide now and never speak of it again. In all his travels he had never seen so lovely a lady. Sir Salvio breathed in to claim her beauty. Yes, yes, he would have her be beautiful. Then he suddenly thought of the white sleep he would lose, lying in the white wing of Camelot while his wife was dancing the night away with other men. He thought of how the bright light of her beauty would show up all the lines and wrinkles of his own old age, and she would tire of him. He thought of the evil of owning a lovely wife without owning her love. Lady Fairy and wife of my life, he said at last, since I learned today what women most desire, I know that you, not I, must choose. Be beautiful or be good. It shall be as you desire. The fairy gave one wild whoop of laughter and put her arms around his neck. Her mouth was a well of kisses. Because you gave this answer, she said, you may have me in my fairy shape and keep my love and loyalty always. I will be good and faithful, and I will always be waiting for you in the white wing of Camelot. For never in the history of human beings has a man learned so quickly what women most desire. So every night the white wing of Camelot resounded to their laughter, and during the day Sir Salvio was the envy of every other knight, for he had a wife who never talked about the weather, and who liked nothing better than a kiss in the wood from her beloved knight. Fairies and wizardry, exclaimed Hubert the monk with a blustering contempt. They're all in the past, and that's just where they belong. The past? The past, bawled the widow. The fairies aren't dead and gone. It's just that they immigrated when the monks and priests outnumbered them. I'll tell you this, you scandalous man. I trust a leprechaun sooner than a priest. A man who won't marry knows nothing about women, and a man who knows nothing about women is more ignorant than Adam in the Garden of Eden. Give me a marrying man every time. Their noisy arguing woke the magistrate with a start. Silence in court, he shouted. That woman, if I had her in my court, scolds bridle. Duck her in the village pond, that's what. The monk and the widow took no notice. Tell me, jeered the monk, wagging his gleaming sun-tanned head, when you were married to your 5 unfortunate husbands, did you wear your spurs in bed? The widow in the hat cupped one hand to her ear and asked, What did the fool say? Silence in court. When the pardoner had been sent packing by the formidable widow, he turned his attentions to the knight. Sir, I can see you're as God-fearing a man as ever set knee to a church floor. Here you are, riding to Canterbury in the hope of a blessing, and here I am, with a pack full of holy objects, all honeyed over with blessings for the man who touches them. Give me a crown, and I'll let you see the headcloth of the Holy Virgin herself, and I'll throw in a glimpse of St. Sebastian's thigh bone preserved in alcohol. Thank you, sir, said the knight, who was always polite, even to fools. But last year I stood in Jerusalem itself, and saw the garden where our Lord Jesus was laid, and where he rose to life again. I saw the field where the blessed George's cross flamed in the sky before the Crusaders, victory over the infidel. I don't know but that your veil and thigh bone would be a disappointment after that. The sea captain was much less polite. When I was sailing a dhow on the Red Sea, I sank a ship carrying 200 holy grails, a flock of sheep's bones, and each one bottled and labeled with a different saint's name, and enough splinters from the cross to build Noah's Ark all over again. As for Our Lady's headcloth, that's all supposing she dressed like the widow here. I've seen enough to make sails for the English fleet. Are you calling my friend a liar? roared the summoner, pushing his pustular nose in. The captain reeled at the smell of raw garlic, but he was unabashed. Yes, I'm calling him a liar and a charlatan. Ah, well, that's all right then, said the summoner, and the summoner burst into a cacophonous laugh. The doctor took a look at St. Sebastian's thigh bone and said it was a pig's trotter. Ah, well, I bought it in good faith, bleated the pardoner. And those of you who scoff at us officers of the church will all burn in hell. This threat, even coming from a straggle-haired booby, silenced everyone. The pardoner looked round in triumph, and seeing the chance to drum up a little custom, told us a story about his favorite subject, death.